Hi everyone, Janie here. Thanks for stopping by today. I truly appreciate you all so much. Today I have a project that I really hope you like, and if you do, it would mean so much to me if you would give this a thumbs up and share it. And also, I hope you consider subscribing if you haven't already, and if you do, I hope you click on that little bell next to the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you all so much, and now let's get started. Hi everyone, Janie here, and a lot of you may not know it, but April is Autism Awareness Month, and in recognition of that, today I'm going to be making a couple of beautiful blue butterfly cards, and while I'm making them, I'm going to tell you a little bit about autism, including some things that you may not know, and I'm also going to tell you why it's something that's close to my heart. So let's get started. So just before Christmas, I discovered this online craft store called Craft Stash, and they pretty much have everything you would need for your crafting. And today I'm going to be using the Apple Blossom Flutterby stamp and die set that I got from there. The stamps come with 8 stamps, and the coordinating die set comes with 7 dies, and it's for making slimline cards. And because it's for making slimline cards, the dies are a little bigger and don't necessarily fit in something like a Cuttlebug, but they work perfectly with the Sizzix Big Shot Plus and also with the Logia electronic die cutting machine. I used my Cut and Boss electronic die cutting machine with these dies, and they cut beautifully. So the first thing I'm doing is inking up the cardstock that I'm going to be die cutting, and I'm using these 3 beautiful colors of blue distress oxide inks to create somewhat of an ombre effect, even though it's not showing up very well on camera. The reason that I've decided to use blue is because blue is the color that represents autism awareness. And there are many shades of blue, but I happen to have these 3 and I thought they were beautiful and perfect for these cards. Off camera, I did 2 more just like it for a total of 3 pieces of cardstock, and you'll see why later in the video. Next, I used my heat gun to set the ink and then wiped over it with a paper towel to remove any excess ink because I'm going to be doing some heat embossing and I don't want the embossing powder sticking in the wrong places. Now, as you can see, I'm doing the stamping and heat embossing before die cutting the image because I thought it might be easier. But for some of you, it might be easier to die cut it before you do the stamping and heat embossing. But whichever way you do it, it's going to come out beautiful. I also used my little powder pouch, which is like an embossing buddy, because that is also going to help ensure that the embossing powder doesn't stick where I don't want it, because I'm sure we have all had that experience, and I have it quite often, to be honest. The embossing powder that I'm using is holographic embossing powder from Ranger, and it doesn't leave any color. It's just going to leave a holographic sparkle that I thought would be a beautiful way to accent the wings. Sorry to say that it does not show up as good on camera as it does in person. And now I'm die cutting what I just embossed, and it die cuts beautifully. I really love this die set. And by the way, if you're wondering when I'm going to get to the autism information, I promise you it'll be soon, but I first wanted to get you through the preparation of making these cards, and then I'll be talking during the time that I'm putting the cards together. Now here I'm using the Slimline card die, and in the second picture I'm showing that I also cut just one side of that card, and you'll see why a little later. I love the shape of this card, it's so much fun. And I wanted you to see that that die leaves a score line, making it so easy to fold in half and create a card. I think the rest of this process is going to be self-explanatory, so now I'm going to tell you a little bit about autism. By the way, if it sounds like I'm reading this autism spectrum disorder information, I actually am. I'm reading it off the internet to start off, but later I'll be sharing some personal information as well. Autism spectrum disorder refers to a group of complex neurodevelopment disorders characterized by repetitive and characteristic patterns of behavior and difficulties with social communication and interaction. The symptoms are present from early childhood and affect daily functioning. The term spectrum refers to the wide range of symptoms, skills, and levels of disability in functioning that can occur in people with ASD. Some children and adults with ASD are fully able to perform all activities of daily living, while others require substantial support to perform basic activities. That's actually one of the important things I wanted to share, because a lot of people see autism as something that children have, and they see it as someone that requires substantial support to perform basic activities, and that isn't necessarily true. The autism spectrum disorder also includes Asperger syndrome, which is something that I'm going to be talking to you more about a little bit later. ASD occurs in every racial and ethnic group and across all socioeconomic levels. However, boys are significantly more likely to develop ASD than girls. The latest analysis from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 1 in 68 children has ASD. With that said, you can see that more people have autism than you probably realize. People that you may interact with every day and not even realize that they have it, because most of us know so little about the spectrum of this disorder. If you're not familiar with ASD, let me tell you some of the common signs. Even as infants, children with ASD may seem different, especially when compared to other children their own age. They may become overly focused on certain objects, rarely make eye contact, and fail to engage in typical babbling with their parents. However, in other cases, children may develop normally until the second or third year of life, but then start to withdraw and become more indifferent to social engagement. The severity of ASD can vary greatly. Many people with ASD find social interactions difficult. The mutual give and take nature of typical communication and interaction is often particularly challenging. Children with ASD may fail to respond to their names, avoid eye contact with other people, and only interact with others to achieve specific goals. Often children with ASD do not understand how to play or engage with other children and may prefer to be alone. People with ASD may find it difficult to understand other people's feelings or talk about their own feelings. And this applies to children and adults. They may also have very different verbal abilities, ranging from no speech at all to speech that is fluent but awkward and inappropriate. There are many more signs, and if you'd like to learn more about the autism spectrum disorder, you should do a Google search and you will find so much information. But for right now, I am going to jump over to talking about Asperger's syndrome. People with Asperger's may have difficulty cultivating friendships, and they may not connect with their peers due to lack of social skills. They also may find difficulty empathizing with others, but as they age, the affected person will learn the accepted social responses for interacting with others. Yet they still might not understand why the other person is truly upset. Another sign is that they may find it difficult to make and hold eye contact with people they are speaking to. They tend to have very narrow interests, and they also seem to stick to a routine, and that is actually very important to them. Another symptom is literal interpretation. They don't talk between the lines, and they don't read between the lines. They also have trouble understanding social cues. There are many more symptoms and signs, but like I said, you should Google this if you want to learn more about it, because it's actually quite fascinating. But with all of those roadblocks, they are usually very intelligent and very creative people. So you remember earlier I said that you probably know some people with ASD and you don't even realize it? Well, I'm going to tell you some of those people right now. These people have Asperger's syndrome. Jerry Seinfeld, comedian and actor. Nikola Tesla, known for contributing to the design of AC electricity. Sir Isaac Newton, one of the greatest mathematicians and most influential scientists of all time. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was an influential composer of the classical period. Dan Aykroyd, comedian and actor. Steve Jobs, founder of Apple. Henry Ford, the founder of Ford and creator of the assembly line in factories that are still used today. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft, which most of us use every day. And someone else you know, me. Yes, I have Asperger's syndrome, and so does my oldest son and my oldest granddaughter. And that is why autism awareness is so important to me. So you never know who in your life might have ASD, but if you learn more about the signs and symptoms, you might be able to recognize people with ASD and learn better how to understand them. And now, back to the cards. I absolutely love this Apple Blossom Flutterby stamp and die set, and I am so happy with how my cards came out. There are so many possibilities, and these are just a few. I made this white one off camera, and if you remember, I had cut that half of the card and said you would see what I was going to use it for later. Well, this is the card that I used that on, and I trimmed about 1/4 of an inch off the straight edge and embossed it with an embossing folder and layered it on top of this card as I'm attempting to show you here. And I sprayed the butterflies with silver glitter dust and layered them like I did on one of the other cards, and I think it came out so elegant. I hope this has given you some ideas of your own, and if you love this stamp and die set as much as I do, you're going to find the link to them below in the description box. Thank you so much to all of you that have watched the entire video, and I hope that you've learned something. And also, don't forget, there are links to the products that I used below in the description box, so you can't miss those. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye. If you like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I hope you consider that too. And if you do, be sure to click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos or giveaways. And I hope you stop by Crafters Castle on Facebook and also Crafters Castle Challenge blog to enter your creations.